What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cyclone Fanatic postgame report presented by Karl Chevrolet on all the Cyclone Fanatic social media feeds. I obviously going to be talking about Iowa State's 37-34 win over TCu. I'm Jared Stansbury, joined by Rob Gray. What's up, my man?
Not a whole lot, just in between stories. We'll have a gamer up shortly. You did a nice job in your reaction filling in for Chris, trying to figure out the post-game reaction on the radio. So a lot of moving parts going, and I'm doing a little grocery shopping in between stories. So good to join you.
There we go, man. Hopefully you'll be able to chill out tonight and watch some more football or something else while we get ready or celebrate. As Jaquan Bailey said, we're focused on celebrating tonight, and then we'll hop on the Oklahoma train tomorrow. But I do think there's a lot of good things to hit on from this Iowa State game, as well as some probably some negative stuff that we can touch on as well. But it was refreshing to me to see Iowa State largely dominate a game in the trenches. I thought on both sides of the football, especially in the second half, where you saw Iowa State run the ball very effectively at a clip that's not been seen in quite some time at Iowa State. And then even defensively, obviously, the way they were able to rush the passer, and when you saw those guys get in there and create some havoc on the rushing side as well, I thought that was really nice to see.
Yeah, I think early on I was a little bit, I want to say shocked, but surprised how well TCU was able to run the ball with some unknowns. But they've always got athletes, and I think it's pretty clear that scheme-wise, when you're running kind of a three-man front that's pretty wide set, they were trying to make sure they didn't get any big plays early, and they didn't get any big plays early. Unfortunately for the Cyclones, all they got was three and outs early before the Breece Hall breakthrough. Great lead block from Dylan Sainer on that, and kind of opened the floodgates there. But the D, bent a little bit at times. I think they were really caught off guard a couple times in zone coverage there, as you said, on those seam routes. But by and large, as Coach Campbell said, you want your big-time players to make big-time plays. And between Jaquan Bailey, Mike Rose, Breece Hall, and Joe Skates, Brock Purdy saved the really bad one. Your guys did that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think you got to put a lot of this on Breece Hall and the performance that he had today. 154 yards on 18 carries and 3 touchdowns. I mean, from the moment that Breece was able to break off that 75-yarder there in the second quarter, I think that the tone of the game really changed. And that's where I say with the offensive line, they were able to open up holes for him consistently. And even when he would maybe have to dance away from someone in the backfield or something like that, he was able to more often than not get some positive yardage. And I think we just are continuing to see that young kid turn himself into one of the best backs in the country. And I expect to see a lot more performances like this one from him as we move forward in the season.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, as you mentioned in a reaction show, and I had looked it up too, first time against a conference component over 200 yards on the ground since 244 against West Virginia, October, I think was 13th of 2018. Breece Hall's had some nice games, but there hasn't been a whole lot around him in the rushing game for the last year, and obviously even going back a half season before that. So the offensive line's really impressed me today. Sure, Brock had to run for his life a few times, but TCU's got a good, solid front. They run blitz, they pass blitzed. I mean, they've got a strong secondary, generally speaking, for sure, and they held up. And some of the holes they created, I haven't seen for a while. Now, we'll see how good TCU is, but I'm pretty sure defensively they've got some horses. And, Breece was fantastic. The Kane run, the one cut kind of, and then juke and then jet. I mean, that was impressive to see. So he has 2 rushing touchdowns, the first of his career back-to-back games. Yeah, the running game, as Coach Campbell said on the post-game radio show on the Cyclone Radio Network, seeing big plays in the running game was extra encouraging, just as you alluded to, Jared, as well.
Yeah, and I do think, Brock obviously was not perfect in this game. I mean, you mentioned the one play that is inexplicable. I mean, I have never seen anything like that in a football game. Yeah. And I imagine that it's like I said on the Instant Reaction podcast, I imagine that he will not be allowed to forget that one, considering his teammates and his coaches the way that they are. But I do think that getting Charlie Kohler back at 5 catches for 27 yards, I think that made a huge difference. But I thought you could see that Brock, like I said, outside that one play, was largely a lot more comfortable than he had been in week 1.
No doubt about it. I mean, that play, I think the only thing I can think is he thought he was going to be upright enough and that maybe he was out of the pocket because he'd gone to the right, that he would actually be able to get it to the sideline. That's the only thing I can think. Otherwise, you're just serving it up. I mean, it's like a tiny punt just into the air for somebody to waltz into the end zone on. But as a small aside, should be a Hall of Famer, NFL All-Pro Jim Marshall, old-time Viking Purple People Eater, ran a pick back to the wrong way once. So I think he's lived that down. I think he still is the NFL all-time leader in fumble recoveries. But this will be with him forever. But if you're good enough, it will be one that people laugh at while you're awesome. In the meantime, at Iowa State and well beyond.
Quickly here on the Cyclone Fanatic post-game report presented by Karl Chevrolet, we need to thank our friends at Authentic Brand. Authentic Brand is more than just your source for official Cyclone gear. With an amazing team of designers, Authentic Brand can custom manufacture polo shirts, jackets, caps, bags, and beyond for your small business. Check them out online at authentic-brand.com. Look authentic, feel authentic, be authentic. I think on the defensive side, you mentioned it, there was the lapses kind of in coverage that led to at least 2 of the touchdowns. And then obviously the one at the end of the game was kind of a garbage time thing. And then the one in the first half was just a hell of a play by not only by Matthew Downing, but that receiver to be able to turn that into a touchdown. I think that those are things that, at least I'm imagining that those are probably things that can be fixed. They're not, they're not incapable of being overcome. And I imagine whoever it was that is at fault on those things is probably not going to have a very fun week when it comes to watching film.
No, nor should they. I mean, the last thing I assume any scheme wants to do is leave a vast swath of the middle of the field open, basically all the way up to the end zone, especially on the one that was really discouraging. I got to figure one, maybe a couple of guys were just out of position in terms of where they were supposed to be in a obvious zone scheme. But it won't be fun for them. But again, as they always say, learning points. You hope that guys aren't out of position like that, but that's what happened, as you said, Jared.
Yeah, and it was encouraging to see that the special teams errors were largely cleaned up. They did give up the 1 punt return, but that was brought back because of the personal foul penalty. But I mean, I come out of this game feeling considerably better about Iowa State's team. And don't get me wrong, there are things to clean up. There always are things to clean up, especially in game number 2. But I think you could see that they had improved from game number 1 to game number 2. And now you've got even a little bit more film. You've got it against a quality opponent. I mean, I think that this can be the team that we thought that they would. And obviously that's going to start next week when you bring in a team that's going to certainly be angry in Oklahoma after the 38-35 loss to Kansas State today.
No question. And I think what we'll see in this exceedingly strange season, K-State lose at home in that heartbreaker to Arkansas State. Everyone made the big deal about the Big 12 being 0-3 against the Sun Belt. They rebound against an obviously stacked Oklahoma team. They're down 2 touchdowns. They fight, scratch, and claw. I still think mentality-wise, K-State and Iowa State are so close together, and that's why the rivalry is so bitter. I mean, hats off to them to come back in Norman like that. Again, different environment, not the full crowd, but that's a tough football team. And I think Iowa State showed the same thing today. That Mike Rose interception was almost as good, singularly good, as the Brock Purdy decision. The one blemish on his day was in throwing that up in the air. To get his hand under that and then get the top hand over it without it touching the ground and really having it secure was incredible and a true game changer. I mean, we didn't mention the Joe Skates catch going into the fourth quarter. That was a game changer post game that Matt Campbell spoke of. Great throw by Purdy there. But again, big guys making clutch plays when they got to make them. And they had to do it a lot today. And that's highly encouraging because we know the talent's there. It's just got to emerge at wide receiver on a consistent basis. Intact offensive line, healthy deep tight ends, all that stuff.
Absolutely, man. All right. Thanks for taking some time. Go get your groceries home, have some dinner, and then we'll have more coverage for everybody here later tonight on CycloneFanatic.com. Thanks for tuning in to the Cyclone Fanatic postgame report presented by Karl Chevrolet. We'll talk to you guys again soon.